السلام عليكم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. And the praise of Allah and His protection be upon the leader of the prophets and messengers, وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. And his believing family and his companions and those who followed them correctly until the day of judgment. Dear brothers and sisters, today I want to remind myself and you of the importance of understanding the words Islam and Salam that are interlinked and they have the same root, Sin, Lam and Mim. And the scholars of the Arabic language, when they talk about a word, they break it down to letters. So when they talk about Islam, they look at where Islam comes from and what letters it consists of and what do those letters mean in Arabic. For that reason we have dictionaries. So they say Maddatu Sin Lam Mim, the entry or the word that consists of this root, the general root of 3 letters. That's what the rule is in Arabic. Sin, Lam and Mim, the letters, they mean peace and security. They mean protection. They may mean peace of mind, and all of that is connected to Islam. That's why the greeting of Islam is Assalamu alaikum. And As-Salam is one of the names of Allah. And it means the source of peace and protection. That's why it's not correct for us to replace the greeting of Islam with any other words or word that of course never gives the same meaning and the same sweetness. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna as-salam asmun min asma'illahi, that as-salam is one of the names of Allah. وَضَعَهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَأَفْشُوهُ بَيْنَهُمْ. As-salam is one of the names of Allah which He put upon the earth, so spread it amongst yourselves. And He told us to spread salam to increase the love between us. And this is true. The less salam we have, the less love we have between ourselves for the sake of Allah. And the more salam we give to other people, even if we don't know them personally, but we know they're Muslims, then the more love we gain. So how is peace, as-salam, and the name or one of the great names of Allah, the source of peace and security, connected to Islam? It is very simple. There is no salam without Islam. There is no salam, there is no real peace without Islam, without submitting to Allah, without worshipping Him alone, without following Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam alone. That's why throughout the Quran and throughout the Sunnah and the Seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, the greatest peace in the history of mankind was brought to people by following what Allah said. By doing what He loves and leaving what He hates. By loving the people who do what He loves and hating the people who do what He hates. So that is the connection between Islam and Salam. And Islam doesn't mean allowing bad people to do bad things or allowing strong people to offend weak people. That's the peace of the strong people, because a lot of the strong people, they want Islam to mean peace, meaning we can do bad things to weak people, weak Muslims. And that is not peace as we know it in Islam. That is why the Prophet ﷺ used to say, after he says astaghfirullah, 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 after praying, and we should also think, and maybe this is a subject for another khutbah inshallah, why does the Prophet ﷺ say astaghfirullah 3 times after having just prayed to Allah? Because the logic would be, he's just prayed to Allah, we should ask Allah to accept. Like some people wrongly, when they finish salah, they turn to one another and say, Taqabbal Allah. Taqabbal Allah, meaning may Allah accept, may Allah accept. And they say it to everyone. And they think it's good because their logic says, and that is the logic if you don't follow the sunnah. And sunnah doesn't mean no logic, no, but people don't understand sometimes the logic of the sunnah. So they introduced this taqabbal Allah, which means may Allah accept. But the Prophet ﷺ never said it, never said to say it, the Sahaba never did it, the four Imams never did it. So we don't know where it came from. Maybe someone started and everyone started doing it. The Prophet ﷺ used to seek forgiveness. And then say, Allahumma anta as-salam. Oh Allah, you are as-salam. You are the source of peace and security. You're the only one who can protect us. وَمِنْكَ السَّلَامِ. This is the point that we must pay attention to. And from you is peace and security, not from anyone else. Like Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Victory and help doesn't come from anyone but Allah. And from our belief in rububiyyah of Allah, that He's the Lord of everything, is that peace does not come from any other source except Him. That's why Allah said in relation to His book and following His book and following His messenger alayhi يَهْدِي بِهِ اللَّهُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ رِضْوَانَهُ سُبُلَ السَّلَامِ. Allah guides with it, through it, whoever follows what pleases Him, meaning His religion. He guides them to ways of peace and ways of security. And that means that we must follow what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order for us to achieve peace. And what pleases Him, He has told us in the Quran and Sunnah. And each one of us has a role, and that role may be different from the role of the other person. So if we are married, we must know that we have things that Allah is pleased with in relation to our wives. They have rights that we must fulfill for the sake of Allah. If we have children, we must know that they also have rights. And Allah is pleased with giving them those rights and making them good Muslims. Not just give them food and drink and television and games and education and let them not know any Islam. That's not correct education of children. Islam, it must be number one. Because when they go back to Allah, they will not have anything from this dunya except what they did according to what Allah loves. If it is the case of a wife, she must know that the husband has rights that she must fulfill. And that is what Allah is pleased with. That is the peace. You want peace in the family? Follow that. Many people don't follow anything. They say, we have problems in the family. Of course, subhanallah, you don't follow what Allah said. What peace can you have? You don't give rights of your wife, and the wife doesn't give rights of the husband. Where is the peace? If we want peace in a country, we must follow the rulers. Alhamdulillah, we live in a Muslim country. They make rules for us, and they don't contradict the Sharia. We obey them for the sake of Allah. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, obey your ruler as long as he doesn't tell you to do haram. So that means we must know haram. And the same applies to our parents. If our parents tell us to do haram, there can be no peace in the family. Because my parents are telling me, do haram. Leave wajib. Don't pray, don't wear hijab, don't do this, go there. So the parents have responsibility to know what is haram, what they can tell their children. Because their children are human beings, they're not robots. They have to be respected. Some parents treat their children like they are pieces of something. I can take him here, I can take him out, I can do this, I can tell them this, and most of the things they tell them are haram. I can tell them to divorce for no reason, because his wife didn't cook curry I like. Don't laugh like you're in a stadium. This is the only thing you heard from the khutbah. We have to understand what it means to have peace. A lot of people say Islam is peace, and he's making war every day. So we have to understand, we have to be clever. We have to be correct Muslims. Not Muslim when only we have slaughtered sheep, so we can eat it. Not Muslim only when we want, and when we don't like, we are not Muslims. Muslim means is synonymous to salam. He has peace through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through doing what he loves. Wallahi, no one can have peace except through that. Total peace and security and everything, no one can ever have except through that. And also knowing your place in society and in the family. If you're a doctor, do your job well. That's the peace. Do your job well. If you're a mechanic, do your job well. Don't cheat people. If you're a businessman, know what Allah made haram. Because you want peace of mind, number one. And you want peace with Allah. You don't want to be in war with Allah. Because Allah said, if you don't give up riba, if you don't give up cheating people in business, and you don't give up eating unlawfully the money of people, then know that Allah has declared war on you and His Messenger. In Surah Al-Baqarah. So, do you want peace with Allah? Then do what He said. For that we must know what He said. If you are a teacher, like some of us are, we must know our subject. We must know how to teach it. We must make the children love it. Because if we don't love it ourselves, the children most likely will not like it. If you're a student, you must know that you come to learn. And that means not to make problems for your teacher and for the children in your class. If you're a parent, you must know that when you take your child to a religious school like Manar, it is more important than the maths that he's learning. More important. Why? Because it's dunya things. And in religious schools, they teach and must teach what makes them close to Allah. Because Allah is the one to whom we must try and be close. So all of this, if we do it, we will have peace. And that can never be except when we learn Subulus Salam, the ways to peace. The ways to peace is to know what Allah loves and to be in peace with Allah. To know what rectifies our heart and soul and to be in peace with ourselves. At peace with ourselves. To be at peace with our neighbors, for example. If your neighbor constantly annoys you, how can you have peace? Never. You can never have peace. If you are a bad neighbor, then the Prophet said you are in the hellfire. We have to look at what we must do. Because a lot of people talk about peace, they don't have a clue. Like piece of cake, they talk. The wrong peace they talking. They talk peace and Islam is peace and this is peace and subhanallah, Allah said Allah cursed the kuffar, Allah hates the zalimin, the wrongdoers and this, and He continues to be friends with those bad people. So we cannot ever achieve peace except by learning Islam. If someone is our teacher, we must respect him. A lot of students, even people, adults, people teach them Quran, people teach them Sunnah, Hadith, what makes them close to Allah, they don't respect them. Is that peace with Allah? No, He hates such people. If someone gave you 10 dirham, you wouldn't say thank you, Allah hates them. And this man has given you what you cannot even make into money, you cannot. He made you close to a life that lasts forever. You never die. And that individual, I say he, but it can also be our sisters who teach our girls the same. The girls must respect and their parents must respect those people who teach their girls. You cannot buy Jannah, ikhwan, except by following the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and leaving bid'ah. That is part of Sunnah. For that reason, we have to know what to do to have peace with Allah, first of all, to be at peace with yourself, and also to have peace with people around us. That is extremely important. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Dear brothers and sisters, anyone who studies Islam, and that means to study Arabic, and that is very important, and I always encourage you to study Arabic, because as you know, we live in United Arab Emirates, not United English Emirates. So we should try and learn Arabic, not learn English. I know that everywhere they speak English, but we should try and learn Arabic. That is the language of the Muslims. Anyone who learns Arabic and learns Islam understands the importance of salam, the greeting of Islam. And Allah said in the Quran that the people of Jannah, their greeting is also salam. تَحِيَّتُهُمْ فِيهَا salam. In that garden, may Allah make us from the people of Jannah, their greeting is salam. And as you know, as-salam is the greeting of Islam. And we shouldn't replace it with other things. And we should try and learn adab of salam. When we buy a mobile phone, we look at what is bad for it and what is good for it. When we buy a fridge, we read the instructions. When we buy a car, we look after it. So when we are Muslims, we must look after our Islam. We must try and do everything that strengthens it and avoid anything that weakens it. And we can never be Muslims except with other Muslims. We cannot be Muslim alone. Imagine yourself alone Muslim. How is that possible? We have to have our brothers and sisters, sisters with sisters, brothers with brothers, and we have to help one another. And in order for us to know that, we must know the adab of being a good brother or a good sister. So we must try and learn the adab, the etiquettes of salam. And the Prophet ﷺ used to teach his Sahaba that when they go from each other and come back, they say salam. If a tree or wall or a big rock comes between them, they say salam. And the Prophet ﷺ said it in a hadith himself to do it, and the Sahaba did it. Why? Because they don't run after worldly things. Like some people, you get the impression when he sees someone who drives an expensive car, he says salam to him. Why? Because maybe he will have a contract with me or benefit me in the dunya, meaning. But when he sees someone miskin, poor, he doesn't say salam. And this is from the signs of the Day of Judgment. And in the two Sahihs of Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, when he was asked what is the best Islam, he said to give food to others and to say salam to people you know and people you don't know. Meaning you know they're Muslims, but you don't know them personally. And how many Muslim brothers we have? So when we go shopping, we see a lot of Muslim brothers. And Muslim sisters see their fellow sisters. It's even easier for them because they see them wearing hijab, the Islamic covering. So they can easily say salam to each other, and we should try and teach it to our children. Because there is order. When they look surprised at you, and that happens a lot, when you say salam alaikum and he looks like, do I know you? Of course it happens because that's how we are used to. If you don't know someone, you don't say salam. So when you say salam alaikum and you're smiling, he thinks, does he want money from me or I know him? Then you should explain to him, brother, the Prophet ﷺ said, Afshu salama bainakum. Spread salam between yourselves. That's why I do it. So he doesn't think you want money from him. You just want to say salam to him, that's all. And also it is sunnah when you say salam to smile. And believe me, how many doors get unlocked through salam and the smile. It's very easy to do. You don't need any money, you don't need to do anything. And you say salam. And wallahi, if non-Muslims see Muslims implementing just salam correctly, many of them will love to be a Muslim. Because when they meet, they say, hello. What is hello? Hello. Maybe not, I don't know. But it sounds like hell is low. A'udhu billah, hell. You remind each other of hell? We say as-salam. And we remind that Allah is as-salam, one of His names. And tahiyyatuhum fiha salam. In Jannah, their tahiyya is salam. And we want good for our brother. We say, may Allah give the salam. Assalamu alaikum. Ahlan cannot replace it ever. Ahlan comes after salam. Ahlan, welcome. Ahlan, sahlan, marhaban. I say everything. After salam, you can say good morning even. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, akhi. Sabah al-khair. But do not before salam. The Prophet said, who says anything before salam, don't talk to him. No. How many people we shouldn't talk to these days? We don't talk to many then. We should use this opportunity to revive the sunnah of salam. Why? Because that is the sunnah of Islam and the Prophet of Islam alayhi salatu wasalam. And we even say, when we say sallallahu alayhi wasallam, also we asking Allah to protect the Prophet sallallahu. And when you want to punish a Muslim and boycott him, one of the ways is not to say salam. You want to punish. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ did to 3 of the Sahaba who didn't go with him to the Battle of Tabuk in the year 9 after Hijrah, even though they had the opportunity to do so. He forbade the Sahaba to talk to them for almost 2 months, and including salam. And one of them used to say, Ka'b bin Malik, radiallahu anhu, he used to say, I used to go to my cousin and say salam alaikum, and I watch his lips. And he didn't used to reply to me. And I used to go to the masjid and say to the Prophet salam alaikum, and he didn't used to. Yani he was very upset. And that is the punishment. When you don't reply to salam, or when you don't say salam. And most of the people, ikhwan, who don't say salam to us, or don't reply to our salam, number one, they are not good people. Even if they pretend to be good people, they are not good people. So if you don't want to be from them, say salam or reply to salam in a nice way. And secondly, we don't like them and they don't like us. Why? Because there is a connection between love and salam. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. Shall I show you something that will cause you to love one another? Afshu salama bainakum. Spread salam between yourselves. And that removes the hasad, many bad feelings between us. Shaitan may come in between us, but we remove shaitan by salam. So that is one of the ways to have peace, to wish peace for your brother. And not to look at how wealthy he is or how poor he is. Maybe wealthy, he needs salam more than you. Maybe poor, he needs salam. For that reason, the Prophet ﷺ said, the closest among you, even though there are etiquettes, the older, the younger, the large group, the small group, the best, the Prophet ﷺ said, is the one who starts with salam. Starts with salam. So don't wait. Start with salam. I know some brothers, they come to the masjid, they don't say salam. They go, they pray, half an hour you sit with them. I'm talking about myself. Half an hour before salah, 20 minutes before salah, 10 minutes after salah, doesn't say salah. But you try to say for Allah. Because even if he doesn't reply, the Prophet ﷺ said, Someone better than him replies. The angels reply. And when the angels say, oh Allah, give salam to this man, what do you think? So that's why, in order for us to have peace with Allah, with ourselves, with our families, our friends, our brothers and sisters, we must know Islam and practice it. May Allah bring peace to all Muslim countries. And may Allah enable all of our rulers and all of our Muslims under them to obey Allah and to obey Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. And may He enable us to know His religion and practice it correctly, and to know what He loves and do it, and to know what He hates and leave it, to aqimus salat.